Somebody finally caught on. The Athletic has Josh Hoover as a top 10 quarterback in college football right now.
You are Locked On Horned Frogs, your daily podcast on the TCU Horned Frogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's right, Locked On Horned Frogs, your team every day. I'm your host, Steven Simcox, been covering TCU athletics for the past 12 years. Anthony Silva, he's going to go pro. Jamie Plunkett from Horned Frog Blitz had that report yesterday. Silva told him he's going to sign with the Cleveland Guardians. We'll talk about what that means, his career at TCU, who could play shortstop moving forward. TCU basketball, another high-profile non-conference game. This time against Notre Dame, a home-and-home has been scheduled. We'll play the Fighting Irish in Fort Worth this year and then go to South Bend next season. But we start today with The Athletic, saying that Josh Hoover is a top 10 quarterback in college football, coming in at number 9. The Athletic ranked QBs in college football from number 1 to number 136. And they put them in different tiers. So the tier that Josh is in is tier 1. They describe tier 1 as follows: most talented quarterbacks in the country with the highest ceilings. They can carry their team and are often the biggest keys to victory. Many in this tier find themselves in the Heisman Trophy conversation. That tier has Cade Klubnik at number 1 at Clemson, number 2, Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, number 3, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina, number 4, John Mateer from Oklahoma, transferred in from Washington State. He'll be having his first season in Oklahoma this year. G.J. Lagway, the young QB at Florida, Drew Aller, Penn State, Sam Levitt, Arizona State, Kevin Jennings, SMU, Josh Hoover, TCU, and then number 10, Arch Manning at Texas. So the only Big 12 quarterback Josh Hoover is behind in these rankings is Sam Levitt at Arizona State. And while I think Josh could make an argument for number 1, I totally understand why they're putting Sam Levitt there. He won a Big 12 championship. He won a playoff game. That matters. He is ahead of Sawyer Robertson on this list, which is kind of rare compared to other lists. We're in the middle of list season. That's what I call it. The time in the off season where everybody's searching for content, just to be candid and honest with you. And so they do rankings. They do lists. They try to get people to engage, try to get people riled up. Josh Hoover, in top returning quarterbacks in the Big 12 type of list that I've seen this offseason, has consistently been at between 5 through 7. And I've been saying, look, I understand he had a turnover issue at the start of last season. He's not a dual threat guy, but he put up really good numbers last year with the absence of a running game. He got his team to 9 wins, 8 wins in the regular season. And he's returning and should be poised for a big season in the same offense in year 2.5. I mean, he played half a year as a sophomore. Last year, he played the full season. Here's what they said about Josh Hoover, and this comes from, compiling stats, but also talking to Big 12 coaches. If you're looking for a traditional passer who can pick a defense apart from the pocket, Hoover fits the bill. And this is a quote from a Big 12 coordinator. He's the most natural thrower in our league. Hoover, the Big 12's most productive returning passer, set a single season record with 3,949 passing yards last year. He's accurate, operates the offense cleanly and efficiently, and has the zip to get the ball down the sidelines and down the field quickly. Not a dynamic runner, but is mobile enough to escape pressure or pick up a first down. Some feel he has a case as the league's best quarterback over Levitt. He's a problem, a Power 4 head coach said. If he's going to sit back there and throw it 40-plus times a game, you're going to be concerned until the end of the game that he's going to move the football and score points. So some nice things said by opposing Big 12 coaches and coordinators about Josh Hoover. And Sonny said at media days, he was like, he's the most natural it was a similar quote. He's like, he's throws the best ball of anybody I've been around. And Sonny's been around some really good college QBs. Jared Goff being the main guy who's going to have a really good career in the NFL and kind of resurrected his career with the Lions. But Josh is just a dude that likes to sit back and throw the ball. Here's the scouting take for the next level. He's not a high-level NFL prospect because of his physical limitations and ball placement, but his football IQ combined with his work ethic is in one of the quickest throwing motions in college football led to a near 4,000-yard season in 2024. He's a highly confident deep ball thrower and was an outstanding processor last season. He always seemed to find the open man. So that quote leads me to this discussion. I think if we look big picture, one fascinating thing about Josh and his potential decision at the end of this season, the scout there, the person that they interviewed about his NFL future, says he's not a high level NFL prospect. And the reasons for that right now are physical limitations and his ball placement. But he was super productive last year. And I still lean towards the idea that if he has another really productive season, there's a good chance he goes to the NFL draft because his stock might never be higher. But in the world of revenue sharing and NIL, Josh Hoover right now, I can confidently say, is the most well-compensated athlete at TCU. He's making good money. That I wouldn't even call it a flirtation because Pete Thamel wrote a story, and we know this story by now, but Pete Thamel wrote a story that specifically said Josh was on the golf course. His agent called him and just said, hey, Tennessee gave me a call and wanted to know if you were interested. And he quickly said, no, I don't want to do that. This is where I'm at. Thanks, but no thanks. That's great to know. And props to Josh for his loyalty, obviously. I also would say with confidence that one of the reasons why he quickly said no was because he's getting taken care of from a monetary standpoint here. And good for TCU for doing that because he's a good quarterback and you need a guy like that if you're going to meet expectations. But if he's not getting a lot of NFL buzz next season because of these physical limitations and NFL scouts are just like, I don't know. There's big incentives for him to come back again. Like there is a world where we get 2 more years of Josh Hoover this year and next year. Because if he's making good money in college, he seems to really like it in Fort Worth. Why not stick around and continue to get paid well, continue to play at a high level with a coaching staff that really values you and has shown you time and time again? When they had an opportunity to put Chandler Morris back in there, they didn't do it. They stuck with Josh. The past couple off seasons, this past off season, it wasn't even a discussion. But before that, a lot of fans were like, hey, let's at least bring somebody in here to compete in the portal. Like, let's go get a quarterback in the portal so that Josh at least has to earn the job. It didn't happen. Okay, well, Haas Haney, true freshman, like surely he'll get a fair shake here. Josh was their guy. So much so that, unfortunately, Haas looked at the landscape after the regular season and said, you know what? I think I need to go elsewhere. And now he's most likely going to be the starter at Oklahoma State. But for all those reasons that I listed, I think it's possible that he could be back for another season after this year. Of course, we got to get through this year first and hope that he puts together another really good year. Sonny also said when he was asked about Josh and just what he liked about him, because his recruitment was pretty under the radar. He was going to go to Indiana. Sonny told, I don't remember the people he was talking to in this interview at Media Days, but he said at SMU, they recruited Josh, but he told Sonny and the coaching staff there, he was like, I want to play Power 4, Power 5 football. So I appreciate it, but no, thank you. He commits to Indiana. When Sonny gets the job at TCU, they reconvene. And the way that he described Josh was when you turn on the film, you were impressed. You weren't necessarily like, oh man, I have to have this guy, but you liked what you saw. When you met with him and you talked with him, Sonny said to himself, I got to have this guy. Like when he sat down and started having a conversation with Josh, it was like, okay, whatever we need to do to get him, we got to get it done. And in hindsight, that makes a lot of sense because if we go back in the Wayback Machine, I mean, not way back, a couple of years, coming off that 2022 season, Sam Jackson was the young, exciting quarterback on the roster. And we were exiting, like for a couple of years, it was Chandler and Max battling it out. Max won those battles. He leaves. And it's like, okay, Chandler Morris, Sam Jackson. Well, Sam ends up transferring. So now there's all this panic. Panic might be a strong word, but there was a ton of discussion that offseason about like, we got to go get another QB because Chandler has a history of being injured. And if he gets hurt, what's our option? Now, Josh Hoover was on the roster at that time, but the belief was sort of just like, we don't know who this guy is. I mean, in fact, like this goes back to how dumb I can be or uninformed I can be. I remember episodes where I was like, Josh Hoover's your backup quarterback. We can't have that. Like, that's not, you can't live like that. Well, the coaching staff obviously saw those intangibles even when he was a young player. And I think that's why they weren't super motivated or at least like on edge about going and finding another quarterback. Now, they eventually went and got Chance Nolan, who had played some in the Pac-12 at Oregon State. He retires after like 2 days. But they rolled into that year with Josh as the backup, and then Josh took the job and didn't let it go. So it's good to see him up here in the top 10. He's got to prove it this year. But I'm very bullish on him having a big season. I just think he's focused, he's ready, and everything's going to fall into place. When we come back, I have an opinion that most of you are going to disagree with. That's coming up next during Locked On Horned Frogs, your team every day. Second half of the MLB season coming up. It's the perfect time to join FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app or go to FanDuel.com. New customers, you place one $5 bet. You win your first $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bets. That's for new customers at FanDuel.com or on the FanDuel app. They have live in-game betting. You can do parlays, anything available to you. They also have those future bets going on right now for college football, for the NFL. TCU over under win total 6.5. It's going to be over. It better be over. I think that's easy money. I've said that in the past, but this time I'm right for sure. Frogs 1.5-point dogs to North Carolina on the road. They're going to cover. They're going to win. These are the types of things you can jump on early at FanDuel.com or on the FanDuel app. Again, you win your first $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, it's where the game starts. So some news came down yesterday that TCU basketball will have a home-and-home with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to come to Fort Worth and play the Frogs on December 5th this year. And then next year in December, TCU will travel up to South Bend and take on the Fighting Irish up there. So Notre Dame is a big brand, obviously. Basketball, it's been kind of up and down. It's not nearly as storied as their football program. The last few seasons, they've been an under 500 basketball team, both in the overall regular season and in the ACC. But it's still a lot bigger of a name than South Alabama or Prairie View A&M. A lot of the typical home games that TCU schedules during non-conference play. And for years, a number of TCU basketball fans have been upset about just the scheduling prowess of Jamie Dixon. He's had a pretty clear direction in the way he schedules in non-conference play. He wants the team to get acclimated. This is not unique to TCU. We're living in a world now where the rosters are just changing every year. You're basically rolling out an entirely new team each and every season. So I think that's a big reason why he does it. Also, when he took over at TCU, and now it's been almost a decade, maybe more, but it was a team and a program that was just desperate to get some wins and like get some good vibes and some excitement around it. And so I think that was a lot to do with it too. they've been to the tournament multiple times now. They've won a couple tournament games. It's a much different landscape than it was when he took the job after Trent Johnson got let go. But if you look at this non-conference schedule for this upcoming season, they're going to play Michigan at home on November 14th, Florida in a tournament on November 27th. Then they'll get, depending on whether they win or lose, they'll either get Providence or Wisconsin on November 28th and Notre Dame on December 5th. I totally get why everybody wants bigger names and higher profile games. I would also say, though, TCU, as of right now, in men's basketball, is a team that's fighting for their tournament life each and every year. Now, we can have a debate another day about whether or not that's where they should be at this point in Jamie Dixon's tenure. I'm not really interested in that debate right now because I'm not talking about that in this segment. Okay. But however you feel about that, my point is, I think in the moment, the most important thing for TCU to do in non-conference play is to stack up dubs. Now, you can play a couple tough non-con games. Like you can schedule some Power 5 teams in between all that. But if you lose 5 or 6 games in non-conference play, even in the Big 12, which I think is still the best basketball conference in America, the deepest basketball conference in America, that can be a tough hole to climb out of when we're talking about postseason chances. To Jamie's credit, like I think one reason why he schedules so light in non-conference play is because you're going to play the best teams in the country during your conference schedule. Like you're going to play Houston, you're going to play Baylor. I know Baylor hasn't been like in the Final Four since the national title win, but you get my point. Kansas, Arizona. I mean, you're going to play those big name teams on a regular basis each and every week. It's a little more watered down now because you got like Colorado and I say UCF. UCF's kicked our butts in the last few years, but it's a little more watered down. Bottom line, though, 14 out of your 18 games are going to be real deal opponents, like high RPI, a lot of top 25. So I don't see this huge need to like go get a bunch of names. You're not Duke. You're not Kansas. I'm not saying you shouldn't shoot for that and try to be that. I'm saying careful what you wish for. Because you don't want to be a team that ends up with like 6 or 7 losses in non-conference play and puts your backs against the wall for a postseason berth within the first month of the season. Now, I've seen my friend Tommy Fisher on social media saying the football team needs to do more of this. I would agree with that. I think there's a lot to be gained by TCU football playing big names in non-conference play. From a branding standpoint, just keeping your name on the pulse of the conversation. Now, this season, they'll get some of that by the virtue of the fact they're playing Bill Belichick, and then they'll get SMU in week 3, who was a playoff team last year. But Jeremiah Donati, Chris Del Conte, the coaches, even though I don't really think the football coaches have anything to do with football scheduling. That's not an insight. I don't think they have much say in it at all. I feel like it's an athletic director's call at the end of the day. But they've got a pretty clear plan, okay? One FCS opponent. And unfortunately, I think they're going to replace this SMU game with a lot of like group of 5 teams. And then Power 5 opponents, but so far it's been Purdue, Minnesota, North Carolina. I mean, there was an LSU mixed in there. But for the most part, it's like Cal, bottom of the league, ACC, Pac-12, Big Ten, that type of vibe. I'm just going to tell you, and you guys are going to disagree with me on this. It's fine. Yell at me in the comments, in the YouTube comments, please, or on Twitter, @SimcockSteven. Be careful what you wish for. I know you want high profile games, especially if you're a season ticket holder. I understand. You're paying all this money. You don't want to go watch them play Southern and, schools of that nature for 2 months before conference play starts. But you're going to get a lot of good games in Big 12 play. So if you're loading up the schedule in non-con, you better be able to cash that check and win some ball games, because you could really hurt your tournament resume before the Big 12 season even starts. I will say, though, I think this also speaks to, I believe Jamie's got confidence in this group. Now, you got to see it on the court, but I don't think he had much confidence at all in last year's team. I believe he has a belief that this squad can figure it out with some of the guys they've added and some of the young dudes that are coming back. And I guess he believes in them a lot, because you're playing the defending national champs, a good Big Ten team, 2 good Big Ten teams potentially if you get Wisconsin, and now Notre Dame as well, which is not a great team, but at least a much bigger brand name in hoops. When we come back, Anthony Silva going pro. What does that mean for TCU? Who's playing shortstop next year? Jamie Plunkett, who does a really good job covering TCU football, baseball, basketball, all of it for Horned Frog Blitz, he reported yesterday that Anthony Silva has told him that he's going to sign with the Guardians. The deal's not official yet, but that's what he's going to do. He's signing with Cleveland. He's going to go play Major League Baseball. I understand it. We also heard yesterday that Cademan Parker most likely going to sign with the White Sox. I think both of those guys fall in similar categories. Silva had a much better college career than Cademan did, and they play different positions, so it's not a perfect comparison. But, I mean, Silva at one time was getting first or second round buzz as a prospect after his freshman season. Has cooled off in a big way at the plate since then. Is a very good defensive shortstop. Cademan Parker has really good stuff, has the tools to be like a frontline pitching prospect, dealt with injuries, has been inconsistent. It just hasn't really come together at the college level. I think for him, you've been drafted twice now. If you pass up another opportunity, because Cademan got drafted year before last and signed with TCU. He may have got drafted out of high school too. I guess I should have looked at that. But if you pass this opportunity up again, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to have a really good season at the college level so that you'll stay in that conversation. And Anthony Silva, he got drafted once. And he said, hey, I think this is my time. I don't want to pass up that opportunity to play pro ball again. I would have loved if he could have figured out, more consistency at the plate before his college career was over. It just didn't fully come together. And he's got the tools. I mean, from a power perspective, he hit home runs. It wasn't like he was launching it out of the park all the time. But he's got a little bit of pop, and Lupton always plays big. We know that. If he can figure it out at the plate, I think he could have a long pro career. I mean, the range, the throwing ability, like his mistakes at TCU in the field, they were mostly routine plays. I think it was just lack of focus at times that got him. He would make incredible rangy plays on a consistent basis that just left you like, man, this dude can really go. So good luck to him. He represented TCU well. I think he fought through adversity here and stayed with it and fought through it. And what it means in the future is Lucas Franco, who's the top prospect in this class, he actually withdrew his name from the MLB draft before it started, which the timing of all this, I wonder if, I don't think Anthony could have completely said, I'm not coming back before the draft, but he might have gotten word to him of like, hey, I'm leaning this way, and it made it easier for Franco to say, okay, I'm going to make this move then. But he'll most likely slide in there at shortstop as a true freshman. And he's going to be the next dude up at that position. We'll see what Braden Sloan ends up doing. I think he'll probably sign too. There's going to be a lot of turnover with TCU baseball, but a lot of young talent as well. We'll be back tomorrow. No, we won't. We'll be back on Monday because it's Friday. Thank you for listening this week. It's Locked On Horned Frogs, your team every day. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also find us for free and available wherever you get your podcast.